Hi everybody, hope you're well. So this video is about expelling somebody from a team. I'm going to cover a couple of different things in this video. The first thing I'm going to say is, I've been asked this question a lot over the years. If you want advice on this, please do not name anybody or identify anyone in the comments if you would ask a question about this, okay? If you're asking for advice, please keep it as anonymous as possible, okay? So let's get into it. So you may be in a team and you've decided there's somebody in that team you want to expel. I think the first question I'm going to ask you is, why do you want to expel them? This is the thing that you have to identify first. And the reason for this is, I often find that main reasons for people wanting to expel somebody from a team can be down to communication or lack of communication. It can be down to things like maybe they don't have the resources to bluff, or maybe it can be something like they don't know how to bluff. And there's a couple of things to bear in mind. You need to be aware that whenever you're recruiting people, you need to put resources in place to make sure that they meet the criteria to begin with to be part of your team. Because obviously, if somebody had been recruited to the team who didn't know how to bluff to begin with, it's a bit harsh to then just expel them whenever it was a fault made on the part of the team, okay? So in those situations, I think give the opportunity for that person to actually go learn to bluff. So you might say, okay, you're not ready for the team right now. We're going to remove you for now, but we're going to give you the resources here to learn how to bluff, okay? That, at least in a way, is offering them the opportunity. Or you might say, okay, we're not going to have you bluff at the minute, but we want you to learn, and in 2 weeks' time, we want you to be able to bluff for the team, okay? So you may not even need to expel them. But sometimes it's a case of the solution to your problem is the problem itself. So if the problem is that they don't know how to bluff, then find a way that they can be taught to bluff. Give them the opportunity. If it's a case of they're not communicating enough, at least speak to them and find out if there's a way that you can improve that, or if there's a solution that the two of you can come to an agreement with. Now, sometimes you'll do that, and regardless of doing it, they'll still waste your time, okay? So what I mean by that is, somebody will say, yeah, I'll go learn. 2 weeks later, nothing's happened. Or maybe they haven't been answering their PMs again and so forth. But do at least give them the chance, okay? I think that's a big thing. Now, it could be another problem entirely. It could be that this person's very nasty and being abusive or whatever. And in those situations, that person probably, doesn't work out. Or it might just be a case that this person doesn't gel with your team, but you could say, okay, maybe you're aware of another team where that person would fit in better. So you might say that, okay, I think this other team might be better for you. Because I did have situations actually where people joined teams that I was in, and after a little while I thought to myself, do you know what, they would work so much better in this other team where they'll gel really, really well. And there were situations where I just moved somebody to another team, but I discussed that with them and I said why my reasons were. And a lot of them went on to join these other teams and did really, really well in those teams, and they found that was, a more rewarding experience because they found teams that they fitted in better to. So sometimes it can be things like that. So be aware of what your actual problem is. Figure out what that problem was and why that problem even came about, okay, if you can, because I think then you can make a more informed decision about whether it really is necessary to expel someone from a team. There has been situations where people have done things, I think, where you think there's just no way, they've done something so terrible that we have to get rid of them. But just pause and think for a minute and be mature about it, because if you make a really rushed decision, sometimes it can come and back and bite you really hard in the backside. So, be mature about it, and obviously think of all your options. And if you are expelling somebody, in no way threaten them. And I'm going to get into that in a minute. So if you've decided, okay, we're definitely expelling them, you might have to ask yourself some questions. Have they high GP? How might, if they do have high GP, affect your team, your future sales, the reputation of your team, and so forth for expelling this person? So if somebody has high GP horses and you're worried that they're going to sell them, now often a lot of people will agree, if it's a mutually agreed, that you're expelling someone from your team and they're okay with it, then you shouldn't have a problem. They might say, okay, I'm not going to sell, until you're selling the same GP and so forth. And sometimes that happens, and not necessarily all the time, but there has been, people who've just decided alongside me that have said, you know what, this just isn't for me, but I'm not going to sell the horses and do anything like that, and that's fine. But you're going to get situations where that person is going to sell the horses, where maybe you have left on, bad terms, or situations where that person's going to do it anyway, even if you did originally leave on good terms. So you have to think, is them selling that GP that they have going to really negatively impact your team and your sales? Now, you might decide, okay, maybe we'll just ask for the team horses back. There's a couple of problems with this, and this is why I mentioned the threatening thing earlier. If you ask for them to sell you the horse back, okay, and they refuse, they're completely within their right to refuse. And because the reason for this is because horse does not recognize team horses as belonging to teams. Horse recognizes horses belonging to the people whose accounts they're on. So if you turn around to horse and you say, you have to sell us that back because it's you, or that person, sorry, and you say you have to sell that back to us because it's our team horse and you're not on the team anymore. Well, by horse admin rules, that doesn't matter because that horse is on their account, so they own it, not you or your team. That's the way the horse will look at it. So if you ask for a horse back and they refuse, don't ever get nasty about it. If they refuse, you can maybe explain why it's important that you get that horse back, but don't be rude about it, okay? Be mature about it, because you need to give them the opportunity. Because if you go, with the horns out, they're going to hit you back with horns as well. They're not going to take kindly to it, and they're going to react badly to your negativity. They're going to be negative back more than likely. And don't threaten them, because it's not right to threaten anybody. And you're going to open yourself up to possible karma loss there as well. So moving on from that, okay, so being expelled from a team obviously can sometimes be upsetting for people depending on how it's done. So I think one of the actual big things that I think is important, if you were being expelled from a team, how would you want that team to expel you from the team? What would be the nicest way to let that person down? Okay, you need to really put yourself in that person's shoes and think how they're going to feel. And that's going to inform you better on how to expel someone from a team and hopefully make it less, I suppose, horrible, okay? So think of the things that are, that are going to help both of you to have a less horrendous experience, really. Now, if that person, and this is one thing I will say, some people are going to react badly regardless of how you expel them from a team. Okay, but at least give them the chance, I think, with it. Now, obviously, there is going to be situations with people who have been the worst teammate that you could possibly imagine, have been so horrendously nasty, and you just want rid of them, you don't care. That can happen, but if you, I'm assuming by you watching this video that you want to do it as well as you possibly can, so be mature about it, think of all the options, put yourself in that person's shoes, and do it the best way that you can, okay? Now, the one other thing I'm going to mention about this is if that person leaves the team and you really want to buy the horses back and they then do this, and this kind of I want to mention because I think it's important to mention this. If it's a case that they say, okay, you can buy the horses back, but you can buy them back for a price, okay? And that price is probably going to be pretty steep, okay? Don't fall into the trap of basically having to give them passes and equus, ridiculous amounts. Why? Because I have had this experience many years ago where somebody left the team, okay, they weren't expelled, but they left the team by their own choice and decided to put the horses out in public and left them out in public sales with really high amounts. We were the only people that were really going to buy them back at the time, so we bought them back frantically. That person then had all our passes and all our equus, okay? That person was then able to bluff further ahead because they had just got a ridiculous amount of passes and equus. So sometimes, even if that person puts those horses in the sales, it's more worthwhile, your time and effort to bluff and use those resources to get yourself ahead and leave them with their horses behind you, okay? And that is probably one of the worst outcomes that you can have, that they go into public sales sometimes. But make it an opportunity where your team pulled together and overcame it, and look at it as a positive outcome that your team, you were able to come together and to blow up ahead, okay? But those are some of the things that can happen whenever you have a team expulsion. But it's rare that you get people that blackmail when it comes to horses with teams. They're not very, very common, but I have come across people like that, so it's just something I wanted to mention. And don't fall into that trap, because those people tend to do it over and over again. Because I know that most people will see the horses in public and panic and just buy them, and all the passes are gone by that point. So that is kind of what I wanted to explain about expelling someone from a team. So really put yourself in that person's shoes and think, what would be the nicest way to go about this? You might have to set aside your contempt or whatever for this person that you might have if it's a really bad expulsion and so forth. But don't be rash about it. Really think it out. Think how it's going to affect you and your team and so forth, and that person themselves. And hopefully it won't be as horrendous as it could be. But obviously, always remember, not everybody's going to take it well, and some people never will. So anyway, guys, I hope you had a lovely day. Bye.